Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some information coming out regarding the Ukraine war that I want to share with you. We're going to be talking about France, and this is going to be regarding the whole topic of, is Ukraine allowed to strike inside Russian territory? Now, we've got another update that I want to go over with you here. So, we know that many countries in the West are starting to back Ukraine and allow them to start striking inside Russian territory. The U.S. came out recently and said it was okay for Ukraine to strike in the Kharkiv region, but as far as I know, nowhere else other than that. And yesterday, I believe we just had some attacks in the Belgorod region leading up into Friday of last week that were reported yesterday. And we believe these could have been HIMARS rockets that are used, but I wasn't able to completely verify that. But there's a lot of speculation that there were HIMARS being used, which are U.S.-supplied weapons in the Belgorod region, landing inside that piece of territory there. So we're going to talk some more about this, and I want to talk about France now. So we've got this story coming out that the French president apparently has given the green light for Ukraine to start striking Russian territory with their Scout missiles that they give them. And these Scout missiles are cruise missiles, very similar to the Storm Shadow. And apparently we have an anonymous French military aviation officer that told BBC News that basically it was okay for Ukraine to start doing this. So I will say, though, the French government, Emmanuel Macron, anybody in the government of France has not come outright and said that, yes, they can start doing this. But we've got a report that says that they could start striking inside of the Kursk and Belgorod regions, and they have permission to strike airfields. Now, this is really, really huge because we know for sure the Belgorod region has been attacked many different times, and potentially with HIMARS rockets, just like I mentioned just the other day. But now we're hearing about the Kursk region when it comes to France. So now it looks like this whole thing is starting to expand. And before we know it, Ukraine's going to be able to strike wherever they want to inside of Russia is what it's starting to seem like to me. So I want to go over this because this is a very interesting story. And it's here on RBC Ukraine, okay? This is a Ukrainian news outlet from what I understand. So Macron permits Ukraine to strike Russian airfields in Belgorod and Kursk with French Scout missiles. This just coming out today. The words of French President Emmanuel Macron that Ukraine should have the right to strike military targets in Russia can be interpreted as a green light, look at that, to strike Russian airfields with Scalp Storm Shadow missiles, as an anonymous French military aviation officer told BBC News. We should allow Ukraine to neutralize the military sites from which the missiles are fired, and basically the military sites from which Ukraine is attacked, Macron said last week. Yes, we heard about that. As the French officer explained to the BBC, the Ukrainian military now has permission to strike airfields in the Kursk and Belgorod regions of Russia with French Scout missiles. Now, again, understand this is not coming from Emmanuel Macron, but Emmanuel Macron has many times come out and said, we need to allow Ukraine to strike inside Russian territory. They need to be able to defend themselves and go after these targets. Now we have this French military aviation officer reiterating the same thing, but he's actually giving us some details. He's saying they have permission to strike airfields, okay? Not just Russian targets. He's saying airfields in the Kursk and Belgorod regions. Now, I know there's a major airfield not too far from that area. I don't know if it's in the Kursk or Belgorod regions. I honestly can't remember, but I know there's one called Engels Air Base, and it came under attack by multiple drones not too long ago, maybe a couple months ago. Ukraine launched a massive attack, and I believe they blew up some of their Su-34s or some of their major fighter jets that they have at that base. And it was a very major attack from Ukraine. So I don't know if that air base would be one of the targets, but I know it's not too far inland, maybe something like 600 kilometers inside of Russia. So it might be out of these regions. But yeah, that's pretty huge news. However, according to the officer, such operations will be limited for now, as Ukraine has not yet received F-16 fighter jets. Soviet Su-24 bombers equipped with Scout missiles will have to fly very close to the Russian border, making them vulnerable to air defense. So that's something to think about too. Many of these cruise missiles may require F-16 fighter jets or something more advanced than what they're currently using, their Soviet Su-24 bombers. That, yeah, it would require them to get so much closer to the border, which is where, Russia has a lot of their air defense, and they'd be able to shoot down their jets. Scalp is the French version of the Storm Shadow cruise missile, which is a joint development of Britain and France. The French and British versions of the missile are generally identical. The only differences are in the software and the aircraft that can carry them. The operational range of Scout missiles, as the developer says, is 560 kilometers. However, there is an export version with a reduced range of 290 kilometers and a smaller warhead. So, this is very interesting, and I don't know, maybe we won't see this happening right away, but then understand that very soon, I believe starting this month or with the next like 30 days, not much longer than that, Ukraine's going to be getting some F-16 fighter jets. I know for sure, too, that Belgium announced like 30 F-16 fighters for Ukraine, but I heard that they came out and told Ukraine that they cannot use these to strike inside Russian territory, that they can only use them within their own territory. So Ukraine's going to have, certain aircraft in their air bases that they can use to strike Russia, and then some they can't. And how is anybody going to be able to verify which airplane was used to do, which attack? And this is going to get very confusing over here because there's just so many different countries. Some are okay with it and some are not okay with it. So very, very interesting story, and that's why I wanted to share this with you. There is more information here talking about, more countries allowing Ukraine to start striking inside Russian territory, excuse me. So if you guys want to read more about that, I will definitely cite it down below for you in the description. But wow, this is really big. And if we hear for sure that at some point the French government, or Emmanuel Macron or somebody like that comes out and says that, yes, they can start striking inside of the Kursk and Belgorod region, then that would be pretty big, okay? Because as far as I know, we only know that the Belgorod region has come under attack, which is just over the border from Kharkiv, and we know they're calling that the Kharkiv region. And if you notice, the United States said that they said they can strike in the Kharkiv region. So they don't say Belgorod region, they don't say Kursk region, they don't say anything like that. So we could be 300 kilometers away from the actual Kharkiv region, and they might still call it Kharkiv region. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys are thinking down below, though. This is a very interesting story, and I wanted to share this with you to get this out there. So that's going to be it for this update, though. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. And also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, I hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.